A very disappointing end to an outstanding season. One that
the Super Bowl was not to be. A hard-fought battle leaves the Buffalo Bills bungled in the jungle. A championship season comes to an end. Regardless of the outcome, it was the best season for the Bills in 22 years. And now, it's time for a hero's welcome.
Good evening, everyone. On this Sunday, I'm Carol Jason.
And I'm Bob Coop. Buffalo's quest for the AFC Championship has dissolved into thoughts of what might have been. The rumble in the jungle found the Bills facing a line of tigers down in Cincinnati. And the Bengals drew first blood with Ickey Woods running to the goal line. And you can see the play right here. This is Ickey heading into the goal line, and that was the first of a few. He went on into the end zone for a touchdown early in the first quarter. This was a chance for Bengals fans to turn up the pressure as Ickey danced his now famous touchdown shuffle along the sidelines. But the Bills answered back, Jim Kelly hurling a first down pass to Andre Reed, who picked off the ball in the end zone corner, and that was it for the first quarter. The game was tied at 7. Now in the second quarter, Boomer Esiason shot a pass to James Brooks in the end zone for another touchdown, and that made the score 14-7, even if it did look like a duck. The Bills tried to come back with several failed drives, including a Kelly pass dropped by Trumaine Johnson. And with 22 seconds left in the half, the Bills had to settle for a Scott Norwood field goal to bring the score to 14-10. At the half, we were still in it, although injuries to Bruce Smith and Shane Conlon hurt the defense. In the third quarter, now the defense showed it still had enough power to sack Boomer, with Art Still plowing through offensive linemen to get a piece of the Bengal quarterback's jersey. But the defense ran into a costly penalty after Derek Burrows was ejected for throwing a punch at one of the Bengals during an end zone skirmish. The Burrows penalty proved fatal, giving the Bengals a goal line field position. And it was Ickey's turn again, running into the end zone for the touchdown score that would put an end to the Bills' season. The final score, Bengals 21 and the Bills 10.
The Bills couldn't have hoped for more faithful fans today in the jungle. Hundreds of fans made the safari to Bengal Land, and the Bills Blizzard cheered the team on even during warm-up exercises. The fans believed in their hearts this truly was the year of the Buffalo. Special teams player Errol Tucker signaled to the fans that they would indeed be needed in the battle against the Bengals. But little did our Bills fans know that these furry, seemingly innocent creatures would end up the victor in the jungle today.
Innocent, huh?
Yeah, very.
Furry, maybe. Innocent, I don't know. Well, let's head out to Buffalo International Airport right now, where the Bills are just about arriving, and Rich Newberg is standing by live out there right now for another hero's welcome out of Buffalo International. Rich?
Well, Bob and Carol, you can hear the roar of the jet. It is just taxiing up now to Pryor Aviation. It had to be another long hour ride home by plane from Cincinnati for the Buffalo Bills. But we are certain that the players know that the fans here in Buffalo have been loyal and, of course, very appreciative of a winning year. Now, inside are the wives of the players and the coaches, and they're not exactly sure how they're going to read their husbands when they come off the plane, but I think Rick Pfeiffer is standing by now with the wives. Rick, what's going on inside Pryor?
Well, Rich, the wives and families of the Bills are gathered here to welcome their husbands and boyfriends home. And Barb Metzelaars is with me. Barb, it's been a great ride.
Yes, it has been. It's been really a great year for us.
Was it hard to watch the game today?
Yes, it was very difficult, but they all have been difficult. When you're emotionally attached to all the people that are out there, it's a little difficult to watch and not feel anything.
Now, of course, we noticed as the wives were coming in, you were all embracing one another and hugging a big support group here.
Well, we've been through a lot together. Most of the people on the team have been here for a few years, and we feel like family. I know I feel that way about everybody, and who better to hug than somebody who's a member of your family.
Well, and after 2-14, 13-5 is not too hard to take, is it?
No, not at all. It's great.
So there is a little bit of sadness here, Bob and Carol, but a lot of happiness for a season that was the best in 22 years. Back to you.
Well, let's. I guess we're going to go back. As you can see, there is the charter aircraft out at Pryor Aviation right now, out in Cheektowaga. Let's head back to Rich Newberg, who's describing a little play-by-play of the Bills' return.
Well, Bob, we're waiting for the players to take that first step out, and here they come. Can't get a reading right now from where I'm standing. Obviously, no smiles. It is a very, very cold and windy night in Buffalo. Of course, they don't have very far to go from that plane to their wives and girlfriends inside. And we're going to stand by and see who we can talk to here. As you know, the fans have not been permitted to go beyond the gates outside of Pryor. And I believe we see Marv Levy coming toward us. Marv, we're live on Channel 4. Just could you share a couple of feelings for us, just for a moment? We're live.
I've expressed them all after the game. We played against a team that outplayed us today. They're going to the Super Bowl. They'll be a great representative for the AFC conference. We'll rest a day or two and start getting ready for next year and hope we can do better.
Marv, tell us quickly what happened in the locker room after. Were there any
nothing? The players had an argument like we do after any game we lose. Okay.
Thank you, Marv Levy. You can see him battling the wind as they deplane. Let's go back to Rick Pfeiffer inside. Rick?
Well, Rich, you can see right now the players are coming in. They're being greeted by their wives and girlfriends. The Bills family pulling together. When they walked in just a couple of moments ago, the wives and girlfriends and all the family members here burst out into applause for a team that they are very, very proud of. And with us now is Steve Tasker. And Steve, it was a long day, but a good season.
Yeah, we were talking about it on the way home. It was hard to swallow. It was really sad to end the season on such a down note, and then we really had to remind ourselves how far we had come, and we just hope that we can keep pushing and come back next year and do even better.
Now you get another crack at Cincinnati next year.
Yeah, well, we're looking forward to it. We're looking forward to getting on with it, and it was a good season for us. We really accomplished a lot this year, and unfortunately, we just couldn't put it together today.
Could you imagine that a team that was 2-14 just 2 years ago could come so close to the Super Bowl?
After last year, I knew we could do it, and when we came out this year and started winning those games, I knew it was just a question of us not making mistakes, and there's no stopping us. But we kind of put the hurt on ourselves today, and you got to give Cincinnati credit. They deserve to win.
Okay, good. Thanks, Steve. Good luck and great season. John? We have John Kidd with us, too, the Bills punter. John, you spent a lot of time in the end zone today, but you guys had a tough time out there.
Yeah, tough time. We couldn't get any field position all day, and that made it tough on our defense. They played a great game, but it's tough to beat a good team like Cincinnati out of your own end every time.
Mm-hmm. Now, John, you were here through the lean years. What do you think about this team now?
Well, you know, I took a lot of good character people to dig the team out of the ashes after going 2-14 2 years in a row, and I don't think this team's going to fall apart, even though we did lose a big game to get today. You know, I think we'll be back.
Got another crack at Cincinnati next year. You're going to be ready?
Yeah, that's a long way away. It's going to be hard to get over this one, but you know, by then I'm sure we'll be looking forward to playing our schedule next year.
Okay, good enough, John. Thank you, and good luck. A good season. Rich Newberg, I guess, is still outside with the team. Rich, let's go back to you.
Well, we have one team supporter out here, Mayor Jimmy Griffin, who's back from the jungle. How did the jungle treat you, Mayor?
Well, the fans, they were noisy, I'll tell you that. That's the advantage of being a home team, I guess. But, you know, we can't say anything wrong about our team. You know, at the beginning of the season, they didn't think we'd go this far, and we did. So we showed a lot of people what Buffalo's made out of, and one more shot, we would have been in the Super Bowl. So I want to, you know, congratulate Ralph Wilson and Coach Levy and Bill Pillion and all the players. They did a great job this year.
From where you were sitting, how would you talk about the game afterward? Do you think Jim Kelly was allowed to play his game? How did you see it from the stands?
Well, the fans, you know, again, no excuses. Cincinnati won. But, boy, it's great to have that home field advantage. They were, what a noisy crowd. You couldn't, it's lucky Jimmy got off any plays at all. No kidding, it was a real tough crowd, but that's what it is to have the home field advantage.
Now, all kinds of speculation. If they had played at Rich Stadium, do you think we would have beaten the Bengals?
Well, it's an entirely different game, you know, and, you know, when you lose, you know, and we'll get them next year.
All right, Mayor Jimmy Griffin, thank you for your thoughts.
Okay, Rick.
Let's go back to Rick Pfeiffer inside right now.
Rich, right now I'm here with Bruce Smith. And Bruce, it was a tough game out there today, but a good season.
Yeah, it was definitely a good season, I tell you. It leaves sort of a bitter taste in your mouth when you have so long to taste it. Hopefully we'll come back and even be more hungrier next year. But I really think the bottom line was we just couldn't hold a team like that for 4 quarters. I mean, when you don't get any help from the offense, I think that things kind of go pretty rough.
Mm-hmm. Now, you were hurt early in the first half. Did the thigh bruise affect your performance at all?
Definitely. It gave me a problem when I was pushing off, but that's neither here or there. I think with the breaks that they got and nicks here and there, I think they just kind of took advantage of it. And you can't take anything away from them because they're a great football team, and they beat us.
This is a pretty fair football team, though, too, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. We have a great football team, and we're young. That's the big thing about this. And we're going to come out, not this year, but hopefully next year on top.
Are you ready for next year? Are you ready to start thinking about next year?
Oh, definitely. Well, my plans right now, I think I might be going back to school and do some work on my degree, on my undergraduate degree, and well, it's contract negotiation time, so we'll go from there.
Okay, Bruce, thank you. A great season and a good game today. Bill? We have the man who, the architect of the Bills team, the team that was 2-14 just 2 years ago, and Bill 13-5 this year. Not a bad way to end.
No, unfortunately, you know, as you advance through the playoffs, everybody but one team goes home unhappy, and we're not very happy tonight. But on balance, I guess we've come a ways, and we know that we have a little way to go yet before we're all the way there.
Where do you go from here, Bill, in terms of planning, or do you sit back for a while and rest on the success of this season?
No, we won't rest. We'll go to work tomorrow morning after we've looked at the films and begin to assess where we think we can improve, and we have room for improvement, and we'll begin to take a look at that as of tomorrow.
Okay, good. Thank you, Bill. A good season. Bill Polian, the Bills say they're ready to start planning for next year, so Bob, we'll see what happens.
All right, Rick, thanks very much. Very good.
We've heard from Marv Levy, we have heard from Bill Polian, we've heard from the players. Now let's go to the fans. Hundreds of fans have turned out at the airport, as you can see, and right in the middle of it all is new.
You know, it was really kind of a very disappointing ending to a very, very good season. We never in our wildest dreams would have believed that the Bills would have even gotten this far, playing on the 8th of January. So they really had a very good year, but today they just didn't have enough offense to cope with a very good team that beat them really on both sides of the line of scrimmage.
Van, what did you think about that call with Derek Burrows with the stiff arm to the Bengal player?
Well, you mean when he was kicked out of the ball game?
Yeah.
Well, of course, you know, he's been around long enough to not lose his cool in a situation like that. But I don't think that lost the football game, Bob. The Bills just could not run the ball. In all 5 of their losses this year, there was an inability to move the ball on the ground. Today, they were outgained on the ground of a ratio of about 4-1, 175 yards to 45 yards. And there are a couple of rules in pro football. If you can't run the ball or stop the run, then it's very, very tough to beat the good teams. And there's another, throw a couple of stats out at you. The team that has a 100-yard runner in a game, and that was Ickey Woods today. He gained 102 yards, will win 84% of the time. The team that has a 300-yard passer will win only 48% of the time. Jim Kelly did not have a good day today. He was intercepted 3 times. The Bills did not have good field position. They didn't get great play out of their special teams. They were just beaten by a better football team today. I think we have to let it go at that, Bob.
Van, you came back on the plane tonight with the players. What was the mood on the plane? I understand, of course, that naturally they would be dejected about this, but did you get a sense of optimism that, hey, we're pretty good and we're going to come back firing next year?
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt about that. Bob, this was a great disappointment to the players, of course, because they were just one victory away from the Super Bowl, the Mount Everest of professional sporting events. There is no single event in the world that gets the notoriety, gets the hype that the Super Bowl does worldwide. World Cup soccer maybe, but that's more than one game. That's a tournament that goes down to one game. This is this is a one-game event. It's the biggest sporting event in the world, and there's great disappointment as not playing in that game, because these guys play for the money, but they play for the pride, and they play for the ring. And if you can't get the ring, it don't mean a thing at this point to the Bills. They're very, very disappointed. Yet they had a very good year, as I said.
Okay, Van Miller, thanks very much. Called a good game as usual. Thanks very much, Van.
Especially players like Joe Devlin, Fred
some of the older guys.
Rob Riddick, the older, yes, in their 30s, right? This is terrible.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
But, they were probably hoping that this would be their year.
Maybe next year. Let's wait for next year.
They have a tough schedule next year.
Yeah, I know.
Coming up, the highlights, the lowlights. Brian Blessing takes an in-depth look at what could have been.
Look at some of the highlights and some of the disappointments from today's AFC Championship game down in Cincinnati. What'd you think?
Frustrating. Very frustrating.
Yeah.
I think...
no offense.
The offense, very inconsistent. Some people might say the Bills were ultra-conservative when they were in their own end deep. They didn't throw the ball at all, but Marv was just trying to get room to punt out, and he let it up to his defense. Now, the penalty to Burrows was very costly. I think that was a key moment in the football game. So the season comes to a close in Cincinnati, but a sign of just how good the Bills have become. They really had to play a big part in beating themselves in this contest. Now, Buffalo lost their poise in the second half on several occasions, and they made it easy for the Bengals after halftime. All right, let's go to Riverfront Stadium. Key plays in this contest. Bruce Smith was having an all-world game early on. You see him beat Anthony Munoz, the long-awaited matchup, and Smith was certainly getting the best of it. And then, once the Bills got the ball in very good field position, Kelly was picked off. Ronnie Harmon goes up for it. It is tipped, and down with the ball comes Lewis Billups. And then the Bengals had the football, but Buffalo comes back and gets it on a similar play. Nate Odoms thought he had the interception, but it went up in the air. Ray Bentley, nice play there, diving to come up with the interception, and a chance to wave hi to the family for a job well done. Now, Bruce Smith got a bad break on this play. Watch Smith's strength on this play, how quickly he pulls Esiason down. To the official on the far sideline, it looked like a face mask penalty. That was a bad call. But Smith was off to a great start. So was the Bengals defense, as Kelly had an errant toss right there, and Eric Thomas comes up with it. A penalty moved Cincinnati back, and maybe the costliest play of the game. You'll see right here, Bruce Smith get hit by Darryl Talley. A bruised thigh. Smith left the game for a while, did come back, but was really ineffective playing on that bad leg. Ineffective for Bruce Smith, makes him about as good as every other defensive end, but he couldn't dominate the way he had up to that point. Ickey Woods put it in the end zone, first score of the day. It was 7-0. And of course, it was then time for the now famous Ickey Shuffle, which he has taken to the sideline since the first meeting between these clubs when he got a penalty in the end zone for celebrating just a little bit too much. Kelly brought the Bills back. Good toss right here to Andre Reed, gets that back foot down as he drags it home, and the game was even at 7, and Buffalo was in good shape. Now you see a big hole here. Cincinnati, with a huge offensive line, made it easy for Ickey Woods on this play as he goes through that gaping hole. Woods was just sensational, an incredible player for a rookie. He really has been the key player on offense for the Bengals, and he's made Boomer Esiason's job a lot easier. He helped set up the pass, and there Esiason found James Brooks in the end zone. It was 14-7, a disgruntled Marv Levy on the sidelines. Still a long way to go in this game, though. Mark Kelso comes up with an interception, and he makes a nice return right here. He was banged up on this play, hurt an ankle on the return. It set up a Scott Norwood field goal from 39 yards, and it was good. It was 14-10 at the intermission. Norwood missed one a little earlier on in the first half. Now, Kelly is sacked on this play by Jason Buck in the third quarter, and maybe the key play in the contest, the fake punt. And they caught the Bills as Cincinnati gets the first down. Stanley Wilson with the run, and that kept the drive alive for the Bengals. Shane Conlon made his presence felt on this play, forced a long 3rd and goal situation for the Bengals, but meanwhile, in the end zone, Derek Burrows lost his cool. Marv Levy's statement, time in and time out, don't be dumb, don't be dirty. Derek Burrows was both on that play, and it cost the Bills because the Bengals got a 1st and goal. And early on in the 4th quarter, after the arguing on the sideline, which was another sign of maybe a young team losing their cool in such a big situation, you got to keep your mind on the game. Several distractions, and it paved the way for Woods to get it in the end zone on a 4th and 10. Kelly there intercepted in the end zone, sort of deja vu. Kelly was picked off by David Fulcher in the first meeting, and then this was agonizing. The long wait as the clock ticked down. The Bengals obviously in control of the football game. The Bills could only think about what could have been. And they had to watch the fans in the jungle, and across the way, the Gatorade War. 21-10, Cincinnati, all the reason in the world to celebrate. They're off to the Super Bowl. And the Bengals will face the San Francisco 49ers in Super Bowl 23. Joe Montana and Jerry Rice quieted the Soldier Field crowd today. Mike Singletary, well, you can see just how chilly it was. An intense matchup. Defensively, you would have thought on the way into this one, but the Niners really opened it up. Montana hit Rice on this play. He makes the great move, gets away, a 61-yard score. It was 7-0. Then from 27 yards away in the second quarter, Montana says it worked once. Let's try it again. And he goes to Jerry Rice again for the score. Rice just sensational. And it would be Montana coming up with a 5-yard touchdown pass to John Frank on this third quarter play. San Francisco went on to win it 28-3 over Chicago. This team, a lot of people thought that they had just about been written off, but San Francisco is back.
Yeah, they are. Walsh was saying this could have been Montana's best day.
Oh, yeah. Super.
It was
it's going to be, and you know, it's ironic because when Cincinnati beat the Bills in their last playoff matchup, Cincinnati went to the Super Bowl and played San Francisco.
Oh boy.
How about that?
Another chance at it.
Brian, Paul McGuire told the Nation that there was an altercation in the Bills locker room after the game. Was this stemming from the Burrows incident?
Yes. Joe Devlin, you could see him on the sidelines, and he was
mad, I guess.
He was obviously upset there. Yeah. McGuire's interpretation, he was in the locker room at the time, said that they were having a team meeting and wanted to get all the players up there for the meeting. Some guys kind of lingered back, and then the tension of the moment just got there. Hopefully that this is a situation that will just blow over, and it was the heat of the moment.
Marv Levy seems to have turned the other cheek on that one, too, as far as Derek Burrows.
Marv Levy is the classiest head coach I've ever been surrounded with. He's gracious in victory, he's gracious in defeat, and he protects his players, he protects his teammates, and he just takes the right angle, I think, all the time.
Well, now it's on to another year. Yeah. All right, thank you, Brian. Well, it was probably party time at your house if you were watching a game. All around Western New York, it was party time. Still ahead, the story of our faithful fans, loyal to the end.
Their sign says Bills #1, and when they turn around, it says respect. Now, fellas, put your coats back on before you get frostbite. Thank you very much. At one point, there were about 300 to 400 fans here. They could get no closer than about a quarter of a mile from where the Bills arrived. The NFTA police, the Cheektowaga police, and Amherst police were all out here keeping the fans off NFTA property, and that's a big sore point. A lot of the fans feel that the NFTA needs to purchase the insurance so that fans can get closer and say thank you to their Bills after each and every away game. Hopefully every away victory, of course. But tonight there were about 300 fans out here, and as each Bill player came through the crowd, the fans chanted their name. They said thank you, tried to reach in and shake the player's hand. The players obviously loved it. It is bitterly cold out here, and of course the crowd has begun to break up, except for these diehard guys who don't seem to want to go away. Bob and Carol?
I think there's enough antifreeze in Amwadi that they don't have to worry about it. Leave it up to Salvini to come up with the best story of the night.
Didn't we see them at Rich Stadium?
I think so.
Well, speaking of looking at backs, we will have a final tribute, and we'll give the Bills the respect they deserve.
And Esiason to pass, and he is going to be sacked. It was Art Still who reached up and grabbed him around the shoulder pad back at the 41-yard line and pulled him down.
For a look back at one of the best Bills seasons in history.
Yeah, absolutely. They've done a phenomenal job this year. You know, I thought it was interesting when you saw the players at the airport when they came back. They weren't really that down. They had an hour to reflect and really think about the good things they've done. We're going to take you back to the locker room, and you see the interviews right after the game, and you can really see how much it hurt these fellas to miss out just one game short of the Super Bowl. Glenn Walker was in the locker room at Riverfront Stadium today, and he talked with a few of the Bills right after the loss.
No, they didn't change the blocking scheme. When I went down, I think that slowed my pass rush up tremendously. It was very hard for me to push off of my starting leg, and things happen, I guess.
You know, very good about our defensive scheme coming into the game, and again, you know, it started off pretty good, and we had some problems here and there. We was expecting to have. It's just, you know, just common sense to tell you, you're going to have to make adjustments throughout the game. You ain't going to play no perfect game. And, we made adjustments here and there, and things just didn't work out for us, the way we wanted to today.
After that happened, we shut them down, and the offense came back on the field, and we were excited. We thought they could go down and score, but unfortunately it didn't happen.
Well, it truly has been a season to remember, of course, ending on a disappointing note. But the positive should be the lingering thought tonight. The Bills had this city on a roll, and the future should be bright.